If the English language wasn't as limited and we had 7 words that were all worse in degree past abusive, he would probably be number 5.
Okay, let's see. Ike Turner. The Jackson 5 daddy.
Wait a minute, wait.
R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, Malcolm.
Oh my God.
What's up, little babies? Welcome back to my channel. I'm HB from KC. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're talking about Malcolm and Marie that stars Zendaya and John David Washington. I have some thoughts, some criticisms, some critiques, some thoughts. Make sure you stick around to the end of today's video because I have something to talk to y'all about and I'm gonna need y'all to reply in the comments. So stick around for that. Yeah, since we jumping right into it, how about we get Mr. KxngBajan to pop on up. Hi.
Hey.
How are you?
Fine, how are you?
Kisses. This is our first video since being married.
Aww.
Oh my God, that's exciting. Let's get back on track. Malcolm and Marie.
Yes.
That was intense.
Right.
We got a lot to talk about though. We watched it last night. We have not discussed this at all. We live together, of course, sleep in the same bed, but we haven't talked about it. So we've been kind of like itching to get to this one. Malcolm and Marie is a film starring Zendaya and John David Washington that is actually trending at number 8 in the US today on Netflix. It is about a young woman and her boyfriend who come home from a movie premiere. And to be honest with you, it sounds like they just unpack a bunch of baggage. Is that a fair assessment?
That's accurate.
That's accurate? They
That's
just
accurate.
unpack a bunch of baggage. To say the least, Malcolm and Marie was, without spoiling it, it was an intense drama. Would you agree?
I would agree.
You would agree?
Yes.
Okay, what were some takeaway feelings you had after like watching the film?
I feel like they really tried with the dialogue. They tried to give it depth, make it interesting. They tried to make sure that the actors' ranges could be on full display.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a really good observation because now that I'm playing the movie back, you can see like happy, sad, angry, furious, low-key manic. Like you see a lot of different personalities and it's only 2 characters in the whole, 1 hour and 46 minutes? Yes, 1 hour and 46 minutes and it's only 2 characters. How did you feel about those characters?
I feel like these are 2 of the worst people on earth. They are toxic.
That's fair.
HB from KC. They are toxic. They're toxic. In no world should these 2, in no world should these 2 people be together. Okay?
Hey.
This isn't good. This isn't healthy.
Remember, we have not talked about the movie, so I didn't know he felt this way.
This is bad for people to view because we get residual toxicity. I'm coining that term. That's mine.
Residual toxicity.
Yes.
That's a lot.
3 hours of just toxicness.
It was 1 hour and 46 minutes. You are exaggerating.
It's a documentary. 5 hours of the worst things.
I gotta agree with you. I think they are extremely toxic. I do agree with, even though we're joking around, residual toxicity, as you stated,
Yes.
that's real.
Yeah.
That is really, really, really real. I felt so heavy after watching this film. I would say the positives of the film is the acting is spectacular. It's the same thing with Wonder Woman 84. Like the acting is spectacular and I don't understand why the story had to be this way.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't understand why the story had to go this way. How did you feel about the movie being in black and white, like the whole film?
I believe that was a good artistic touch. I really think that added a layer of emotional depth to it because you as the viewer, you kind of have to fill in the colors for yourself. But then you realize in watching it, the colors kind of take away from the story. So viewing it in black and white kind of helps you to see how this couple interacts. Not only that, but when you really think about it in terms of relationships, when people are arguing,
I was about to say
they tend to take a very black and white view of things, you know, and so it picturing it in black and white really helps to clear it up for you.
Yeah. I want to say something about Malcolm really bad. Not John David Washington, the actor, but the character that he played and his part in the script. I'm going to try to save it, but my Lord, this movie was heavy. It felt like Roots, but in a relationship.
Oh.
Like, just get the shackles off my feet so I can date. Like, just, it was so... It was so much. It was so much. It was so much. Give me a part of the movie that stood out to you.
John David Washington's monologue, where he is ranting about movies.
Oh, wow. Good way to put.
Yeah, that is some of the most impressive acting I've ever seen in my entire life. It's up there with Shakespeare. It's up there with name a person, name a script, name a movie, name a show, name a stage play, name whatever you want.
Papa Pope.
Yeah. It's very Joe Morton-esque. It is up there with the best of them. John David Washington, in my opinion, with this film, has solidified himself as one of the best actors of this current age.
They need to be calling him.
Yeah.
2022 needs to be the year of John David Washington. If this year is not already set up that way, because it's February and it's just dropped.
Yeah.
Like, performance-wise, this movie is impeccable. That script, baby! Part of the movie that stood out to me was another monologue that he had, and he was so degrading of Marie's character while she was in the bathtub.
Yeah.
I almost started crying.
Yeah, that was really bad.
It was so triggering. He said some things to her that you should not say, not only to your partner, but just anybody. You should never bring up somebody's bad mental health issues in the heat of an argument. Like, that is so messed up. If you get that far, you need to have enough self-control to just stop talking. Because people don't like to admit it, but that comes from a place of anger, and anger is nothing but the manifestation of hurt. So you're hurt, you're showing it, preach. You're showing it through being angry, and now you're spewing things that you don't even mean, because later in the movie, spoiler alert, he does apologize with his bitch ass. Yeah, I said it.
I don't think she likes Malcolm very much.
If it's one thing this man is, it's observant. Like, he's like the Joker. He's like Heath Ledger's the Joker. This is John David Washington's the Joker. He is such a bad man. Like, I don't wish John David Washington to have the same outcome as Heath Ledger's untimely death.
Yeah.
I don't wish that on him, but he went to a place that is so nasty. That's just deep and dark and filled with futures and puff daddies and Shia LaBeoufs and any other toxic male that's ever existed. I don't have anything against Shia, but still. P. Diddy and Future deserve that one. I don't care. Those are strays. I do not care. He went to such a toxic place that Zendaya was occasionally wrong, and I was still advocating for her in her wrongness. Yeah. The dialogue was like popcorn to me. Like, a kernel will pop up from him, and then she would pop up with her kernel. And it was like the dialogue was literally just making each other feel worse and worse and worse. And they had their moments in between where they did love on each other and had really like meaningful moments or whatever, but them meaningful moments did not last. They had their moments, but they weren't, they didn't last. They spent, out of an hour or something, they probably spent at least an hour and like, 30 minutes going at it. And this movie, the time frame of the movie starts like 1 something in the morning after they get back from this event. Yeah. I'm going to sleep.
Yeah.
I love you. I'm not fighting with you I'm going to sleep. We're going to be mad till the morning. Pray God don't take you in your sleep, but if he do, then we know who was right and who was wrong.
Whoa.
Also, it's too late now.
That abusive?
It was extreme. No, it was abusive. It's more words. We're not gonna put that to the side. It was that.
Like it's if the English language wasn't as limited and we had 7 words that were all worse in degree past abusive, he would probably be number 5.
Okay, let's see. Ike Turner, the Jackson 5 daddy.
Wait a minute.
R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, Malcolm.
Oh my God. All right.
I don't like this character, man.
Yeah, you really don't.
I don't like this character. And it's funny because even though we talking shit about it, y'all don't know what this snip is going to be because y'all have no idea. Y'all have no idea. Speaking of, let's jump into the snip or the snap, okay? I'm going to throw it to you. Would you give this the snip and say, no, don't watch it, F that movie? Or would you give it the snap and say, yeah, go run and see that?
I would give it the snip.
The snip.
Unless, and hear me clearly and carefully, if you're a man, right, particularly a black man, right, who has ever been accused of being toxic, has ever been accused of being in need of growth as a person, watch the movie one time.
These are such specific instructions.
But seriously, if you can identify with Malcolm, and I'm not kidding here, if you can identify with Malcolm, go get therapy. Because there's something wrong.
That's facts.
You shouldn't be able to identify with a character who is that egotistical and neurotic. You shouldn't be able to, in my opinion.
Damn.
In my opinion, you shouldn't be able to. Because I'm trying not to give away spoilers or anything. So, yeah. For the sake of self-growth, especially, black men be trying to be better out here for our queens and everything. I believe that as a black man, you should watch it just to see what black women really do go through and understand Malcolm really is the problem here. He's wrong, right? He has maybe one strong point, maybe, but the way he even handles the situation, he's wrong on all fronts.
And it's such a selfish point. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because the whole scenario happened after a really big night for him, and that's what he hinges on for like the whole movie. But the situations and the issues she's bringing up are so valid.
It's beyond just that moment.
Beyond.
It's indicative of what's happening in the relationship. Yes.
Also, she told this beep to wait until the morning for them to talk. We're not gonna spoil the whole movie because some substantial things happened. There was a scene where she played this nigga. She played him like a fiddle, and it comes off like a real from the left moment, but it's so substantial that it leaves him shook. And it makes you just go, yes, Marie! You just root for her in that moment.
To me, that is when Zendaya is at her peak.
Yes.
In this film, because and then she flips right back, and it's...
Yes.
But yeah, it's a snip. If you are a cis-hetero black male, and you're trying to improve, you're trying to see what it's like from a black woman's perspective, you're trying to understand where they're coming from, know that when you see this film and you see Malcolm, you see all the evils manifested that they deal with. And for growth, for trying not to be that, I could suggest it as a case study. Beyond that, if it were a CD, I would fling it through a window.
In 2021?
Yes, I hated this movie. I did not enjoy this movie. I did not like this movie. This movie was terrible. I wanted the Avengers to show up. When the Avengers show up, beat Malcolm up, rescue Zendaya, and then go fight Thanos again.
I'm gonna ask one time. Who are you? We're the Avengers, man.
Now, passing it to you.
Me?
HB from KC.
Who, me?
Yes, you.
That's me? Okay.
Love of my life.
Oh my God, stop.
Would you give this film a snip or a snap?
I'm going to preface what I'm going to say
Okay.
briefly. This came down to a numbers game. So if I'm ever 50-50 split with myself, I end up doing like a 51-49 or kind of grading it 60-40, whatever. Whichever one comes out on top is the one I'm going to present.
Okay.
I'm going to try to stay away from doing, oh, it's a both. No, I'm going to decide. I'm going to be decisive on whether or not I recommend it. I think that's the least. Because you already know I can do it either way when you watch the shit.
Right.
How am I going to help if I'm not being decisive? All right, people, don't drag me for this one, but I would give Malcolm and Marie the snap. I would give it the snap. Now, this is definitely a 51-49 moment, okay? Because I agree and I stand by everything you said. And that's not just because we're married, because I would definitely disagree with him in a heartbeat and not care. And he know that and I know that, and that's just how we rock. But in this moment, I agree with everything you said. I am also a screenwriter. This writing is impeccable.
I will give it that. Yeah.
That literally, I was 50-50 split, and then I said, okay, but am I not recommending based on personal opinion? Am I not taking into consideration how other people may come off? Because I got to remember, one, with your stance, it's from a black male perspective because you are a black male. Our perspectives are not necessarily the only perspectives. Now, let's double back a second to what you said, because you talked about black men handling it XYZ. This is a very triggering film. So the 40% I left to the snip, I am saying that to people who have been in abusive relationships, not necessarily physical, but verbally abusive relationships. I do not recommend you watch this film if that is something that is fresh or you have not healed from or you're not able to handle, because I'm married. It's only been a week, but even though he and I have never went to this disgusting ass place that the people in this film have, thank God, you know, that's not to boast, that's being thankful, because they went to some deep, nasty places. But at the same time, looking at that was very hurtful for me. I remember being talked to in that way. He said some stuff to Zendaya about her mental health, Marie, about her mental health that stuck with me deeply, because I've heard those same things to the point I could recite them back to you right now. They triggered me. They caused me to remember things that I've tucked away and left, repressed, not handled in therapy quite yet. But when you see stuff like this movie and you've experienced that, it can hurt. Thankfully, it only shook me in the process because I was not expecting them to be that cruel to each other. Malcolm more so, but cruel to each other. I wasn't expecting that. So when it happened, it was like an uppercut. But now that I've processed it, I realize it's just a movie. Bloom, bloom, bloom. We good. I would still have to give it the snap, because I feel like if you can handle it, you will appreciate the artistry of the film. They did this during quarantine with not that big of a budget. Zendaya brought her own clothing, did her own hair and makeup. He brought his own clothing and hair and makeup. It was a low budget film at a house. That's just what it was. I respect that. I respect that as a craft, because I make my art in my living room as well. So seeing that you can take your home and really make such masterful art, regardless of the toxicity, the art is masterful. It's really dope to see. It reminds me of Issa Rae's Awkward Black Girl. It reminds me of when All Def Digital started, when Teddy Ray was doing it. It reminds me of Grassroots, and seeing where those things have gone, and also seeing where Malcolm and Marie ended up being on Netflix, and how I just can't stop saying masterful. It was just, it's crafted really, really well. Men and women, black people in general, if you cannot handle it, do not watch this film.
Please.
We will never advocate for the traumatization of our own people by film. We don't advocate for any kind of trauma porn. This could potentially be that if you've experienced verbal and mental abuse from a partner before. They go real deep in this film. They go real deep. What's your last thoughts about Malcolm and Marie?
Kill it with fire. No, I'm playing.
He not.
It really is masterful in terms of how it's shot, and you know, the black and white and the performances by John David Washington and Zendaya. You know, and that's those are like the only redeeming qualities.
Yeah.
It's even the way it's written. It was very Quentin Tarantino-esque in terms of how the dialogue worked, especially in certain parts where they were going back and forth. It was very, very, you know, pop and hipstery and you know, that kind of thing. But yeah, man, I couldn't do it again.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your recommendation, KxngBajan. I appreciate it. You gave it the snip. I can live with it. I gave it the snap on like a 10% leeway, you know what I mean, over a snip if you've been traumatized or triggered or anything. So let me know. This is what I wanted to talk to y'all about. After you hear this recommendation, if you haven't watched Malcolm and Marie, let us know if you're going to watch it based on what I said or you're not going to watch it based on what KxngBajan said. So that's your homework. Let me know in the comments whether or not you watch. If you've watched it already, tell me what you think. Like, it's not a competition.
It's not.
You over here doing all that?
Yeah. They don't want to listen to me.
You want them to not watch it?
Mm. That's how I feel.
You know what? You entitled to your opinion, you know? You entitled to your opinion. Whatever.
I still love you.
I know. You can't stop. You want to bless the people on the way out? Say a word.
Peace and love. Don't be a Malcolm.
Hashtag don't be a Malcolm.